Hello. In this presentation, we're going to talk about the topic of automated infrastructure provisioning for cloud-native network functions, or CNFs. Specifically, the problem we're looking at is the heterogeneity of cloud infrastructures that network functions need to support. So network function providers such as Ericsson work with a lot of telco operators in 180 countries around the world. And that spectrum of customers typically bring with it a lot of heterogeneity in their selection of infrastructures. And their selection of cloud infrastructure is driven by a number of factors, such as their partnership with public cloud vendors such as AWS, Azure, or GCP, as well as the regulatory and compliance requirements, latency and performance and characteristics, and so forth. And also network functions, depending on their nature, sometimes need to be deployed in cloud regions, sometimes closer to the edge, and sometimes at the far edge. Now, even though a lot of the infrastructure, cloud-native infrastructure, is now becoming de facto standardized and are possible to find in all of these environments, for example, Kubernetes becoming the de facto container orchestration layer, a lot of commonality in the observability stack, in the database management layer, also in the selection of security components, you find a lot of commonalities typically in these infrastructures. But the provisioning of the managed services is always proprietary to the infrastructure provider. And that typically creates challenges both for network function providers as well as the telco operators that need to deploy the infrastructure and operate the network functions on top of that infrastructure. So what we've been looking at over the past year and a half at Ericsson is studying and performing prototypes, looking into a number of cloud-native technologies within the CNCF to see if we can create a consistent and harmonized API for the provisioning of infrastructure on top of all of these cloud environments. And in particular, Crossplane is a very interesting project. It extends Kubernetes beyond just a container orchestration engine and leverages Kubernetes APIs for the provisioning of any type of managed service out there. And that makes it possible for platform organizations to create these APIs that could really abstract the specifics of each and every infrastructure provider and make it so that from the operations team and the telco operator and the network function operator point of view, the infrastructure is uniform. We are also combining that with Flux to make it possible to store these infrastructure manifests in a Git repository and provide GitOps workflows to provision all of the infrastructure from a single source of truth in a declarative fashion. So in this talk, we are going to walk through the prototypes that we have performed using Crossplane and Flux over the past year. And we hope to show that the combination of these technologies make it possible to create this type of uniform and consistent API layer that can be leveraged to provision infrastructure for network functions. And we believe that benefits both network function providers as well as telco operators. And it raises awareness about these projects within the telco community, number one. And number two, it encourages these players to contribute to these open source projects and hopefully make the ecosystem more vibrant within the telco community. Thank you very much.